Hello and welcome to today's episode of the WholeHearted Living podcast with your host Debs Thorpe. And today we are diving into what it means to be led by your inner vision. So when people are talking about your inner guidance, accessing your inner wisdom, what does that mean in practical terms? So let's dive in. So if you've been listening to the podcast up until this point, you will have found yourself being introduced to different concepts and different ways of understanding and explaining how we come to have our thoughts and beliefs, and that we have these different parts of ourselves, and that the bulk of our behavior is instigated from our subconscious. And our subconscious, for the most part, when it comes to our deeply embedded in our core beliefs, was formed before the age of 9. So until we begin to take a look inwards and almost become a bit of a detective in our own psyche and shine a flashlight on different things and different behaviours, we kind of go along operating in life from a blueprint that is in the subconscious that may not be aligned with who we truly are and what we truly want in our life. So when we talk about what it means to be led by an inner vision and accessing this inner wisdom and your intuition and your higher self, we're referring to the ability to look at and see the various different patterns and beliefs and that subconscious blueprint, and see whether that aligns with your inner vision. And if it doesn't, then that's where we get to, shift it, change it, alchemize it, whatever needs to be done with it. So this whole process really begins with the awareness that you want change in your life in some way, whether that be you want different circumstances, you want to be in a different environment, you want to have a different experience of yourself or life. So you have the awareness of, okay, something needs to shift here. And so being led by that desire then is the thing that will allow you to bring awareness to what habits, beliefs, behaviours, actions do you have currently in your life that doesn't support that. So, a simple but classic example from my own life in this was when I'd always wanted to live by the sea, and I come from the Midlands, which is in the very centre of England, so totally and utterly landlocked, and I'd always wanted to live by the sea. And when I then made the move to leave everything behind and live in a place right by the sea, it was then, I remember when I came down to view some properties and I was walking along the seafront and I saw like loads and loads of runners and joggers running along the seafront, and I remember thinking to myself, wow, this is amazing, like I can't wait to come and live here and be this close to the sea, and I'm going to be one of those people where I'm going to be a runner and I'm going to be out and early in the morning and soaking up the vibe, and what an amazing experience. And so, I had this vision, and yet more often than not, I would choose to not go for the run, right? And yet I would still have this desire of like, oh, I want to be a runner. I want to be one of those people that is having this experience of this amazing place. Yes, you literally run right next to the sea. I mean, it's a really amazing kind of route, and but my actions were not following that. And so, I remember waking up one day and going, okay, well, if I want to be a runner, if I want to be one of those people that is running along the seafront, at 6 in the morning, then I have to be a person that gets up and goes for a run at 6 in the morning. So I then was able to shift my thoughts and my habits and my behaviors to match that desire. Right. So, I developed the habit of going, okay, tomorrow I'm going to go for a run. The night before, I would get all of my kit out. I would be setting my alarm ready, and then I would just go and do it. Right. And then I became that person who was then running along the seafront at 6 in the morning. So it's like that's a small example of what it means in practice to be led by this inner vision, by this desire. And, the way that I've come to experience this, and I find it a really helpful way of looking at it, is that any desire that you have, a desire where you feel the expansion of it, where it feels a very true, deep desire for you, that is like it's already meant for you. So therefore, it makes sense that the way to get there, the way for that to come into your existence in reality, it's already, all of the information is already contained in that desire. And so what we have to do is consciously tune into that desire more than the stories, the beliefs, the old habits, the old patterns and behaviors that we have come to develop in our everyday life. So there are going to be things within that desire that call you to, change certain things, or let go of certain things, or embrace more things. It's never going to be stuff that you can't do. And it's always going to happen in a way that is, the best route for you, which may mean that it's different to everybody else. And that's okay. But what I really want to invite you to do throughout this episode is to really tune into what your desires are. What, if we could really set there to be no limitations at all. Like, let's just play with this for a moment. Let's open your imagination to the most expansive state it could ever be in, where there's no limits, there are no limitations, there's no barriers or boundaries, like nothing is impossible. And we just play with that for a moment. So we just imagine that that's the case, right? It's no different to, when you were a kid, or if you were to give a kid a stick when they are really young and go, okay, this is your magic wand now, and you get to create this amazing world and create whatever magic you want. Like, let's play with this for a moment and allow our imagination to create what it believes is the best, highest possible vision of ourselves and our life. Let's not listen to any of the practical, logical human brain at the moment. We're just playing, okay? Let's just play with our imagination for a moment, and let's allow that expansiveness. It's like, what is the dream or the desire that you daren't say out loud because it seems so out there? Like, it seems so big that you don't know how it would possibly ever happen. What's that thing? And just allow your imagination to entertain that for a moment. Allow that vision to almost permeate every cell in your body, and see how it feels just to kind of bathe yourself in that vision for a moment. And allow that imagination to really make that vision come alive. Turn up the brightness of that vision. Turn up the intensity of the feelings, the excitement, the passion, the aliveness. Like, let's make this picture bigger. Let's make it immersive. What can you see? What can you feel? What can you hear? What can you smell? What can you taste? Like, let's make this an immersive experience for a moment. And allow yourself to tune into this inner vision, even when you don't know how that's going to come into being. I talk about this in the bonus episode 2 of Daring to Dream, about how the dream for so long was to live in Italy when there was no possible way that could happen because of post-Brexit and visa requirements and stuff. And yet that was still such a strong dream and desire to hold, when practically there was no way that this was going to happen. And I actually share in a really detailed blog post, I'll share the link in the description, of how all of this came to be. And so there are so many things that can seem impossible from where you are right now, that by following that vision, by following that dream and the desire, and sometimes there's seemingly such random occurrences that happen, right? You can't possibly predict them, that are the way that vision will drop into your physical existence. So when we talk about being led by this inner vision, we're talking about being more focused on the dream and the desire and your intuition, your higher self, your inner wisdom, than your limitations and your past and your stories and beliefs that you've told yourself about certain things. So, if you are in a place where you're feeling the pull to somewhere, you are feeling a dream and a desire, and that is, you can feel that shift, that desire for change, right? You can feel that within you, but you look around at your life and it's not mirroring that. Then this is your invitation to once again tune into that inner vision, use your imagination, go to the most expansive version of you and your life, and see what it wants to reveal to you that is going to help you in your journey towards that in your life. It could be physically, like changing something in your life. It could be releasing something. It could just be a slight shift in how you have processed something, or changing a belief that is going to become more aligned. Like, there's lots and lots of ways that this could invite change into your life, and it's kind of going with that intuition, allowing yourself to access that inner wisdom and being more guided by that than listening to that, our little human self, our logical self that will try and pull you back into what's familiar. Because as you know by now from all of what we've explored so far on the podcast, it will always do that. There will always be a part of you that is almost fighting for your limitations, that is wanting you to stay where you are because it's familiar. And so, this is not about, like I've said before, we're not here to demonize and to put down certain parts of ourselves. That our logical human self can be, really valuable at certain points. It's just we don't want to be using that as the sole guide, especially when we're talking about following the expansion of ourself and our life, when we're talking about going into our inner vision and our biggest desires. Okay, our little human logical self isn't going to get us there. We have to practice and develop this way of being that we stay more connected to the inner vision and that dream and desire than our human kind of logical limitations self. So, whenever you're feeling frustrated, disconnected, it's feeling like you and your life should be so much more and it's not, I invite you to do this practice. Okay, I invite you to close your eyes for a moment, tune into, literally ask your subconscious, you can say it out loud, what is the greatest version of myself and my life? Show me, tell me what that looks like, and allow your imagination to reveal that to you. And if you're feeling stuck with that, even if you ask yourself the question and nothing's coming through, find something that is inspiring for you. So when we had the dream of moving to Italy, one of the things that we would do is, watch a lot of videos of Italy on YouTube. So, there's really good channels now where they do walking tours of different places, and it's a really good way of imagining yourself walking through the streets and what you would do and where you would go and what you would be eating and what it would be like to feel the sun on your skin, and so it's easy for that to become an immersive experience. And so allow yourself to find the tools and the things that inspire you on your dream. If you want to travel or you want to live in a particular place, well, watch the videos of that, allow yourself to become immersed in that. If you want to change jobs or you want to do something creative, or we live in a time where there's access to people who will have shared what it's like for them. Like it's very easy for us to access that now if we're struggling to find that within ourselves. So use these things to help feed that inner vision and that imagination, and allow yourself to stay more connected to that, which means following your intuition and your gut instinct and your inner wisdom far more than your logical self. So there is the invitation for today. Allow the expansion of your imagination. See this is a really playful thing. Like, you don't have to believe that in the beginning, right? You can just be like, wow, wouldn't it be amazing if, I don't know how this would ever possibly happen, but it would be like the coolest thing ever if this happened, if I felt like this, if my life looked like this, if this was my work, if this was how my gift was used in the world. Like, allow yourself to go there, tune into that, create that vision, feel it, become immersed in it. And from there, trust that it will feed you the intuitive nudges, it will place the people in your path, it will create the opportunities, and that's what you follow. So it's still taking action, but it is taking action towards that dream and that desire, rather than repeating the same actions that you've been doing day in, day out that are going to produce the same results. So hopefully that makes sense for you. Do let me know what your takeaways are from this, and what your experience has been when it comes to your dreams and desires and following those. What's been your experience? I would love to know, and I very much look forward to connecting with you next time. Bye for now.